Welcome back to Piney Grove, folks. My name is Brad and I'm out here on our property in Northwest Florida. And in today's video, we're going to talk about how we dug that well right there behind us. It's currently encased in concrete. We had concrete poured to create a pump house. But also in this video, you're going to see how we ran electrical from the corner of our shed. We had to run a 220 electrical circuit to run the 1.5 horsepower pump. Our well is, I think it's 220 foot deep, and the water table was at 160. And this well is going to run both our house and my parents' house. So we went with a 1.5 horsepower motor and a 1-inch standpipe all the way from the well up to the top. So that's what was recommended for the amount of water we expect to be pulling out of this well. We also went with an 80-gallon expansion tank, and I've got to put all that stuff together once we build out this pump house. But stay tuned and we'll show you how this well was drilled. Okay, here we are. Mid-June in 2021. Well, guys showed up this morning about 8 o'clock. Got going right away. Got a time-lapse camera set up there. Hopefully that works. So he's recycling water here for drilling. Okay, they said we're at 80 feet. A little bit of gravel, clay. Okay, I just talked to the well driller, and he said he's at 180, putting in the casing now, but he hasn't hit water yet. So he didn't say he's worried, so that's good. Gluing the PVC casing together. Okay, so we got casing down to 180, and then you hit limestone, and then you dug so many feet down into the limestone, right? There's our drinking water. Alright, we got a 1.5 horsepower pump going in the well. Going down what, 160? 164?
160.
160?
Yeah, it'll be somewhere around there. The pump itself is probably about 3 feet.
Alright, here we go. Alright, this is our first well water. It's been running for 30 minutes or so. Starting to clear up. I tasted it, doesn't taste too bad. The first water on the property. Alright, just made that 1-hour drive from Panama City. Heading into the property. Meet with the electrician. Okay, we're going to dig a trench from this corner here. We're going to put the electrical box about the second bay or panel up there. So right about there, electrical box. Then we're going to go over to the well. So I'm going to dig a trench 5 foot deep. Make sure the electrical's out of the way of other electrical and plumbing that has to be put in. And then I'm going to get up here to the hill, and I'll probably take the trench up to about 3 feet and eventually go to about 18 inches. We'll go 18 inches all the way up here, cut through this little berm, and I'm going to go just inside of this wall. So that's a wall of the pump house. So we're going to bring the electrical conduit just inside the wall. Figure a 2x4 and flat is 3.5 inches. So we'll bring the pipe up just inside of that, the electrical conduit, and then that'll hook. The 220 will hook to the well. And then we'll have 110 as well for a light, and also to run like a light bulb, 100-watt light bulb or a heat lamp. So in the winter time, the line coming up from the well doesn't freeze. Yeah. Put a stake in the ground, ran a string line from the corner of the shed up to the well. And then I took some ground marking paint and gave myself a line. I am not an expert excavator operator. I only had mine for a few weeks now. And I'd like a straight trench. So I'm gonna dig that to here. So we're at 5 feet deep all the way across till just behind the excavator. We'll cross where the road's going to be, and then we'll start coming up 3 feet, and then eventually that trench back there is dug about 2 feet. We'll connect the two and get this electrical conduit in. So I got some shovels and a hoe. I'll get down in there and clean out this trench. Getting ready to lay the conduit, get that 220 and 110 over here to the well. Just gotta clean this up a little bit by hand. I could have worked it a little bit more with the excavator, but probably make more of a mess than just get there with a shovel. 10 minutes will be done. Okay, so I'll walk and talk. I got the two circuits here. We got the 110 bug nutted off, and then the 220 goes to the box right there for the 1.5 horsepower pump. That's down 160 feet. And then we backbladed this with the excavator, or bladed it with the excavator, and then backbladed it with the 3901 Kubota. So here is the box that we put in. Again, when I say we, I mean the electricians. That's the box they put in. And so there's the electrical meter, and then on the wall behind that, inside the shed, is my circuit breaker, my electrical box. So we ran a new wire, 2 new wires, all the way to here, and then we ran them underground, 5 foot in this area, and then up there to the well pump. Okay, just a quick primer here on how a well works. There's many people that know how that works because they're already in the country, but for those of you that are watching our video, watching us transition from a neighborhood where there's city water to the country, this is new to us. And I grew up on a well and well water. We have a sprinkler well, shallow well, at our house, so I'm familiar with wells, familiar with pressure tanks and things of that nature, but not as a primary source of water for the family, for the house, for the dwelling, for the animals. So I'm going to go over quickly for those of you who don't know, and for those of you to do, I guess you can fast forward through this part. All right, so well is simply a hole in the ground, right? So this is a 4-inch well. They drill in the ground with a bit, and you saw that in the video where they drill in the ground with a bit, and that leaves a round hole in there. Well, that hole will cave in, so then they put what's called casing. And casing can be steel, in which they weld each piece together, or it can be PVC, where they glue each piece together. So this well, the hole, is drilled down 220 feet. It's just a hole in the ground, and eventually they hit limestone and the aquifer. And the aquifer in Florida is limestone, and there's just water in that limestone rock. So they hit rock, and then they dig a little bit further because they want to make sure there's enough water there, because you're going to be drawing water from the area. So they hit water, I think at 160-ish, or they say the water table's at 160, and they dug down to 220. So you got a 220-foot hole. The casing only goes down 160, I think. It does not go all the way down to the bottom of the hole. So there's 40 feet of well with no casing, right? Just a hole in the rock below the bottom of this white PVC. And then inside of that, you have a round stainless steel pump, a 1.5 horsepower in our case, and it sits suspended in the water, suspended and held all the way up to the top by it's either 1 or 1.25 inch PVC pipe. So this fitting right here is attached to a PVC pipe that goes all the way down to 160 feet to where that pump is. And then that pump needs to be powered, and it's powered by 220 because it's a 1.5 horsepower pump. So there's 2 wires that are taped to that 160 feet of PVC pipe, and those 2 wires come out right here. So the water comes out through this galvanized fitting. The pump sits submerged. It's a submersible pump. It sits in the water. It pumps water up to this T fitting here, and then this is just PVC fittings that you can change. And then it goes here to a brass collar where we tap the pressure. So we take this galvanized pipe, it goes into a pressure switch. You got a high and low pressure switch there, and that senses the pressure and tells whether to turn the pump on or not. But that's how a well works. It senses pressure, and usually, well, you do have a pressure tank up here, and it senses that you've used some water and that your water pressure is low, so it comes on until it builds up pressure in that pressure tank. And our pressure tank is in the shed, just waiting for this well house to get built, or this pump house to get built. And then once it reaches that pressure in the tank, that switch says stop sending power down to the pump quits pumping, and then the pressure just sits there in the tank until you need water. It's an 80-gallon tank. You'll probably draw it down about 20 gallons or so before the pump will kick on. And the pump will, let's say you're running 4 bathtubs or something, the pump will run while those bathtubs are filling, or you're running sprinklers, because it'll never fill up that tank. But as soon as you turn those spigots off, it'll start pressurizing that tank again. The pressure will rise in that tank. That switch will tell it, send a signal down through the wire to the pump and tell the pump to turn off. While I'm here, I put 2 pieces of PVC right here, and 1 water line will go to my parents' house, and 1 water line will go to a spigot. I put a PVC pipe in the concrete here, and this will be the water for the pole barn, for the animals, for Deb's animals, Noah's Ark. And then this will be the water line that goes to our house. And then I had a piece of 4-inch pipe left over from all our drain systems in our gutters. So I put that in there, and then I can run either an additional PVC in there, or I can run some PEX pipe in there if I want to get more outlets out of my well. That's all I've got for you today. We're very excited to have this well drilled. We've still got to build out that pump house and run the water lines, but at least now we have water on the property, and we don't have to bring water for drinking, for washing our hands, or whatever we're doing out here on the property. We do have a well, and we do have a source of good, clean water. So that's all I've got for you today. Hopefully you enjoyed today's video. If you did, please click that like button. That really helps our channel out. Also, please subscribe if you haven't already. Otherwise, we'll catch you on the next one. Take care, y'all.